So Kenny, man, you were at the Siemens meeting, man. Siemens seems like they're doing a lot of good stuff. So what can you tell me and the community about what Siemens is up to?
Well, it was very, very time well spent. I personally had some interesting things we can talk about, but the Siemens thrust at the Partner Summit was that they've got some of the best contractors in the country, and they're looking for more. And so they have very lucrative offerings in terms of products and services. Siemens, as we all know, just recently invested and bought J2 Innovations. They bought Enlightened, a Silicon Valley company, and they bought Comfy. And we got to see how those things are going to be engineered into the various products that Siemens has available and what they're going to offer in the future.
Wow. So can you talk about, because it's something we're going to be talking about the Johnson Penn post a little bit later in the show. Mm-hmm. And it seems like, Johnson is really on that sort of a similar path where they are buying up companies to sort of bundle for a solution. So it seems like, if you had to guess, what's Siemens bundle? What are they trying to accomplish here with this bundle? Because you mentioned some really great companies here.
Well, so one of the initiatives that we saw was the light commercial buildings, how 80% of that market's underserved. They have no form of building automation. They might have a Chronotherm still, or some sort of night setback thermostat, or maybe even taking it to a do-it-yourself level with one Nest thermostat or a Wiser Air thermostat from Schneider or Ecobee. But the problem is that there's so much market out there that is not presently, it's underserved. So Siemens has specifically taken lowered deterrents down and put that on that target market now, and have provided us the IoT tools either through a cloud service or through RT unit controllers with wireless connectivity, and also with a Decigo control point, which is an amazing product that can serve as an intermediary. It can definitely handle large buildings, medium-sized buildings, and small buildings, but it's priced so that it can handle the small building to the medium-sized commercial building.
So it sounds like it's scalable then.
Very, very scalable, and so you could take it all the way up into you can overlay it, or you can use it as a front end. It can be used as a plant controller. They've got a marvelous touch panel where you can have user interface and meet those requirements. It could be a green screen, or it can control your boiler. It can program the BACnet. It can go discover all your BACnet devices and provide a visual front end to it.
Oh, very, very cool. Now, do you program that in, what do you program it in? Do they have a programming tool? Or?
The tools on board, yeah. Well, I mean, obviously Siemens would have a preference to use one of their Siemens tools, but right. But it has, the ability to let you use your BACnet front end, so if you're using don't want to name too many specific names on it, but it's very friendly, put it that way.
So it sounds like it's using BACnet. It seems like you can integrate it with other systems very easily.
Absolutely. Okay, so it'll go out and discover anything that's BACnet listed or whatever, and bring it up, populate a graphic, and then let you do the things you need to do with an automation system. So you get schedules, alarms, event, so
right.
you can do things, So if
does that include the J2? For our audience who might not know J2, Scott Mensch, Jason Houck and the guys, or Jason Briggs and the guys. Jason Houck is with Hepta. Great system. They were purchased by Siemens, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So and then
how does that fit into? Is it part of Decigo?
Well, yes. Okay. Graphics part would be coming from J2. In other words, J2, their specialty was the framework,
right.
And they were really fast to adopt HTML5 and get it going so that it would work with all the smart devices. And they had some great engineering achievements that made their framework jump forward. So it's a very app-friendly and cloud-friendly front end framework, So it's going to cause other people some cramps because it has incredible capability and it has the deep pockets to support the constant development and changing. But basically, they're creating the ecosystem so people with applications that are cloud services, this can get you into the. It's Scott mentioned a great presentation that was the last one I saw, where in 10 minutes he connected to a site, brought it up, created the graphics, and began to do the query to the databases so that they could begin to do strategies. It was all based on Project Haystack.
Oh,
So
they got the haystack tagging in it.
oh certainly, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, hang on. Okay, that's a huge piece.
Mhm.
That is, I wasn't aware of that, but for our audience who might not know, Project Haystack is an agreed upon tagging model, and essentially what it allows you to do is, like Kenny was saying, is you can connect controllers and buildings and data analytics points almost instantaneously. There's no more pointing and clicking and link monkeying, as they called it. So huge piece there, Kenny. They got the tagging. That's great.
Well, and so again, and just to kind of go back into the beginning, one thing I had to say about Siemens was they had there's a new softer side of Siemens emerging where they've got a lot of youth. I mean, we met the CEO, came over from Germany, Henning Sandfort, and I actually rode down the elevator with him and didn't know he was the CEO. I was talking to him. I knew he was German, so I started using some of my German, like I still remember and whatever. And here we walk out of the elevator, and I find out he's the CEO that came over from Germany to spearhead the conference. But you had just a whole tremendous group of people. Josh Felprin, the new North American leader, Brian Klee. You had John Kaczmarzyk. You had Todd Lash and Dick Popes. Dick Popes in charge of all the commercial components, the valves and actuators, basically. Todd Lash is building automation. They did great presentations, and of course, the man he's going to give you a challenge one day is Josh Felprin for MC, and had these amazing.
I saw a picture of him with the tuxedo on, man.
Oh, he looks sharp. And
we'll have to give out a new award, the best dressed man in the controls trends industry.
He might just pull that down easily.
Well, he would take Chris Eichmann out for that one.
It'd be very close. That'd be real tight. But if Josh is going to go in that James Bond mode and have that real cool looking tux, and he's very adept. He's very. He's a
great guy. Josh is a great
guy. Yeah. So,
well, listen. So right now I'm going to throw it out there, Josh. We'd love to have you come on the show and wear your tuxedo on the show.
Hat. Remember the fedora.
Yeah, and don't forget the fedora.
Yeah.
But okay, so listen, I got more questions. I'm sorry I got to interrupt you here, but so we got J2's part of what they bought. I'm getting to understand how they're bundling that in. Mm-hmm. What about Comfy? Yeah, tell our committee a little bit about what Comfy is and then how they're using it.
Well, I had the pleasure of working with Miss Baker,
Lindsay Baker.
Lindsay Baker. I was on the Realcomm IvyCon breakout with her twice, and she was a fascinatingly intelligent woman that really was very exuberant and very enthusiastic about this new thing called Comfy. Comfy laid on top of a building automation system, and it was designed for the people inside the building. It was the first true perspective and insight we saw to what was going on in this world with the 330-300. I don't know if you'll take a short stop there and explain the 330-300, but where the big money's at is comfort, productivity, occupancy, and keeping customers happy, keeping occupants tied to the building and feeling like there's more of us. The problem is that she told us, she showed I remember one of the thermostats they thought was a pneumatic placebo thermostat, and she said, these days are gone, baby. Yeah. These people want the smart thing. I'm cold, I'm hot, I'm comfy. And she did this presentation, and it was remarkable because what the results were that people got this immediate, if they were uncomfortable, they were cold, so they wanted heat. You hit I want heat, you got a 10-minute burst of heat. And then as soon as you felt comfortable again, you could turn it off by saying comfy. So there was this incredible machine, or smart device interface into the building automation system.
Right. And Ken Sinclair, like he talks about humanizing the building, and guys like you and me thought this is nuts. They're going to wind up losing money on this, right?
Right.
It was exactly the opposite. By giving people the power, they save money. So, Kenny, is it true that you've nicknamed Lindsay Baker the Karl Marx of building of thermostats?
Oh dear, I'm gonna defer that because she's no longer with Comfy. She's on her way to WeWorks. Yeah, and I hear she's doing. I got to talk to a couple of her colleagues. One of her colleagues, we were rehashing history because it's already 5 years ago. But so to make a long story short, this Comfy thing now becomes the most targeted zoning interface there. You know exactly where everybody's at. If they've been using a smart device and they're engaged with the Comfy system, then you know where they're at. So more about your building than you ever really, initially started. So you get more accurate zoning. You've got all this data now where people are during what time of the day, when people are moving out of the building. First responders can take this over and find out where the people are to rescue them in a fire. I mean, it just became, the eye-opening connectivity from the building to the people. Really and truly brought the people on board. And so the Comfy, when they first were bought by Siemens, nobody knew where it was going to go, because Siemens obviously has different levels of portfolios that they can put Comfy to. So we now think that that's going to be, they're going to take advantage of it. They're going to put it everywhere all the time, as long as it makes sense. And then they bought Enlightened.
Yeah, that's a lighting company, right?
Right. So that's a silicon. It's like a smart. Again, it's all IoT. It has amazing, information to offer as far as dwell times. The same kind of perspective we learned from Acuity about, this is going to make consumers, really and truly connected to the retail space. So retailers will know where they're at. They can do the shades and the lights. They can enhance the images. They can play music. They can do dwell time, monitoring and find out. They can send, if you're using the Beacon system and the consumer wants to be part of the Beacon system, they can receive, discount coupons. I mean, they can get updates, and it can go all the way to when you walk in the building and say, "Mr. Stromquist, it's good to see you back, Eric. I'd like to take you to Men's Shoes. We've got a sale on Italian shoes."
What was that movie with Tom Cruise about 10 years ago, Minority Report or something like that? Do you remember that movie? And he was walking around and the signs were talking to him, and we were all just going, "Yeah, that'll never happen." And here
Total Recall. I mean, they were both.
Was it Total Recall?
Yeah, well, Philip K. Dick, he did the first one with Total Recall.
Yeah.
And then he reiterated with Minority Report, and the other one where he was way ahead of his time. Amazing author.
Well, and I think we need to give some props here to the Acuity Distech, because I mean they were doing this, and I think other companies are starting to react to, because they, with their lighting, very similar type stuff, very powerful for retail, where again they would know where you were, how long you dwelled. They could change the lights, they could change the message or whatever. So it seems like that Siemens is getting this too, which is really powerful. And Johnson, we'll talk about in a minute, they bought a lighting company as well. So
Well, Eric, let me just say this, baby. One thing we learned at Siemens at this breakout was that we're leaving half of the project on the table. We've got to get into lighting. Like Scott Cochran told us with his business was that all of a sudden as they lost more and more components, and the architecture for the DDC components, for field servers, field specific devices, and then the supervisor, all going into the supervisor. So we're selling less and less components in that department, but we saw some pretty compelling opportunities where the total room automation, in other words, it's no longer a cool thing to have. I mean, silos, that's old school now. I mean, what we're still seeing, though, is lack of integration inside, breaking things down into one room or one zone. How can you optimize everything there? How can you optimize the lighting through the outside, shading, blinds, the internal, lighting, the HVAC, and how do you achieve optimality? Well, there's algorithms now, and Siemens has it, and they just put the KNX webinar on Controls Group North America. I don't know if you saw that, but it really. So what's happening, Eric, is coming from Europe. Europe has done this for many years, and now it's
okay. Well, hang on, back up a minute, because I you know me, man. I've only had one cup of coffee today. It's going to take me a second. So, okay. So what I'm hearing a couple really, really cool things here. One is the lighting, and again, when we talked about the $300 rule, and basically $300 being the productivity. So if you can have people be more productive,
right,
then that's what the owners are starting to really pay attention to.
Or now. Students being better students, because that they're going through different phases during different times of the day. Right.
But that's all predicated on lighting. In other words, if we're trying to affect that 300, that 300 piece with the way we typically do it through controlling temperature and humidity, that's a component of it, but a small component. So if you really want to ramp up and be in this game, I think what Kenny's saying is, you got to incorporate the lighting, because that's where you're going to get that big thing with the 300. So that's one takeaway I got. The other takeaway I got, and I want you to elaborate on this a minute, is that it sounds like Siemens is thinking about things not in terms of individual systems. Well, we got our lighting control, we got our thermostat, we got our VAV. It sounds to me like what they're saying is they're rebundling that, and they're thinking in terms of total room control. So we're not going to give you a VAV controller necessarily or a thermostat necessarily. We're going to give you a total room solution. Is that accurate?
Absolutely accurate. And the DXR controllers that they're improving every time we see them are exactly that. It's the cornerstone of the zone. So what it can take care of is the lighting, the shading, the HVAC. The point of really getting into the light commercial space and getting into the pyramid where the big markets at 80% of the buildings out to remember are underserved. So as we drive by, and again, New Orleans was no stranger to light litter because it was everywhere. It was rampant. And we know that's a bad thing, where light litter is when lights are on, they're not supposed to be on, and they're costing a great deal of money that we can't afford it anymore.
Right. Well, more specifically, and I got to hop in because you coined this phrase, Kenny. I got to give you credit for it. And you coined it maybe, 10 years ago, 8 years ago. And Kenny and I would notice in the purest form, the definition is it's a sunny day, you're driving by and the lights are on outside. And Kenny just goes, look at that light litter. So he and I went on a real campaign. I mean, to the point that we were even soliciting the candidates running for president in the last election, going, hey, we can help you cure light litter because it's an easy fix. And it was how many billions of dollars back when you did the research? It's
between $3 and $4 billion a year is wasted on lighting.
Yeah. And most of the places we see it are government facilities or municipalities and stuff like that. So it's like,
and roadways, because things happen. I mean, lightning strikes. You have power outages and whatever, and we've had tons of them. It means that if you don't have ability to wirelessly reestablish your time schedule or have a service company doing it, it goes abandoned for a lot longer than it should. So, but to your point about how are we going to fix things and do things? Well, the more products that are oriented to service that and bringing down the costs, bringing down the barrier of entries, getting more channel partners involved. So you might have to see some more people involved. But now Siemens is producing these products, coming on board with the light commercial scene with products that are going to make it easier to do. So they're eliminating a lot of the headwinds and all the reasons why not. And so one of the big things they talked about was the RDS 120, the Advanced Cloud Connected Thermostats. So it's already out of the box going for light commercial residential applications. So it's like
wait a second. That RD20, it's been around for a while, man. That was just a kick-ass thermostat, right? It's been around for a while. So now you're saying they've got it enabled for cloud?
No. The RDY 2000's been around, and that's a backlit thermostat too.
I got you.
This is the new puppy. They had the RDS 110 in Europe. This is like your Nest. So this is basically, it's got near and far sensors. It's got 6 sensors on board, which is the most sensors to date. So it has for lighting, occupancy, temperature, humidity, and VOC. VOC is a big thing now, so it can sense gases, it can sense the unhealthy air and let you know about it. And then there's more coming to it. So another thing is web enabled. So if they do have an advancement, they can download it to your existing thermostat without any intervention. It's download, but it's going to be able to be backnet, so it's going to have a real commercial component. It could do 3 heat, 2 cool. I mean, it's loaded for bear. Wow. So I see this as a great opportunity too. And once you get back on it, it'll give you that really cool appearance inside of a commercial environment
space. So in other words, they'd like to have it on the wall or the residence. Yeah,
exactly.
Because I tell you what, it used to be people wanted to have, like, they would show off their Lamborghinis or their Ferraris or their expensive clothes, and now it's their thermostats, right?
Well, I'll tell you, the funny thing about it is that I have a thermostat, I have a Wiser Air on my wall right now. And when we're in New Orleans with my wife, I get alerts on my phone saying storm warning, flood alert, because it lets me stay connected to my house, my thermostat. And then I noticed that I had kept it. It was really, really cold, and then we had a mild period in Pittsburgh. So from a remote, I can keep hitting thumb down, and it tells it's learning from my behavior. It knows that I'm not in the facility, in my house, and it's saving me electricity. I mean, saving me energy.
And I got to tell you something. We've interviewed virtually every major thermostat manufacturer over the years and covered every great thermostat there is, but there are 2 people I'm calling you out right now. Nest has never come on the show. and you don't need to be afraid. Really and truly, we'll set you up to succeed, not to fail. And then our boy Stuart Lombard from Ecobee, man, Stuart, man, you ride the bike. You're one of our heroes. We used to give you a lot of love. So if you know these guys, tell them we want them to come on our show and be a guest, because our community deserves to hear from these folks, right?
Well, yeah, and they both are doing extraordinarily well. And Ecobee 4, I just saw it. They're part of the CGNA preferred vendors, and I'll tell you what, that's a heck of a thermostat too. So I mean, there's a lot of opportunities, and that's the whole point. Let's get going. So what's missing, Eric? If we get the products there, why aren't those products getting put into play?
We've got to get the money, baby. How do you get the money? How do you pay for this?
I'm glad you brought that up, because another fascinating part of the world we live in is we know what needs to be done. You got these incredible, prophets, Jim Young in particular, saying, we've got the technology, folks. What's holding us up? Well, obviously it's the bucks, it's the dinero, it's the yen, the mark.
Listen, and I just got to tell you, right? But money is so cheap right now, because if you don't have enough, the government just prints more of it. So money's cheap. Don't let money stand in the way. You just got to get somebody to give you some of that cheap money, right, Kenny?
No. In fact, we had a breakout, and I was extraordinarily impressed with some of these are not make-believe anymore. Siemens is availing a financial program so that schools, hospitals, municipalities, commercial facilities, you can apply for Siemens can provide financing now through Siemens is a global, so they can live and die with the ups and downs of the currencies and the fluctuating markets around the world. But we knew we had to get a fix on how you're going to provide BAS as a service. How could you take something instead of $1 million bond, for a school or whatever, and get it today what you need now, so that you can start saving over the time instead of keep going back and forth, or starting out with a $100,000 job and it's modular and everybody's screwing around, and you got player A, player B saying they can do the same kind of work and they can't, and then always problems. So that somebody told us, fix it. Go out and find a way, get partners to provide the service as a monthly installment. And they showed one project in particular where it was a $500,000 total project. I'm sorry, that was the one where you got to get involved in lighting. The other one was even more than that. It starts around $200,000. It goes all the way up into whatever the total cost of the project is. But they have financing tools, and they have the ability to do the 2-minute or 3-minute or 5-minute evaluation of whether or not you can be qualified for it. But then it showed that they were paying $7,718 a month or something, and they got the job done. So they got a contractor that's capable. They've got a finished product or a finished solution that's going to start bringing ROI, start saving money. That money goes right back into the program, pays your monthly expense now. So if you think about it, it's almost like a mortgage, but
or like a lease. I mean,
or you get the benefit of living there.
Right. No. I'm sorry for interrupting, but no, I just think it's such a great concept, and I think, for our integrators out there, I think the branches have had the ability to do this for a long time, right? And now I think it's another indication that if you want to be in the game, you're going to have to, think differently. And, part of that is you sort of have to answer the question, how are you going to pay for this? And if you can provide that solution, then, boy, you're just loaded for bear, right, Kenny?
You sure are. So we got a couple of these. Weren't like make believe things. These were actually your presentations done with real locations, real people, and then there's more to come on that. But so we talked about some of the great business opportunities. The whole idea now is the design of the IoT being disruptive and being a bad thing is really changing colors. In other words, it's now a good thing. Right. Now is a great opportunity to do it, because you couldn't do it before because this, and this. You had all these reasons why you had these legacy systems that you were afraid to break if they didn't need fixed. And now you're saying, before it's too late, take advantage of these things to get in the game, get some skin in the game, get a competent partner that's working on your behalf. And again, the distributor role too comes into play. You need somebody out there with the big net in the sky, finding out what's going on and bringing that down into a local level, and then providing people some very concise information on what to do or what you do if you're in their shoes, and not sound like you're trying to peddle,
Right.
my way or the highway style of automation.
No, I think you have to, Kenny, and I think you just have to think differently. We've talked a lot about this, and I think, you and I have been sort of, if you've watched the show, you've watched Kenny and I sort of evolve with this whole thing from being totally freaked out, the sky is falling, to now beginning to see light at the end of the tunnel. As a buddy of mine's great uncle, Uncle Kung Fu from China used to say, with great chaos comes great opportunity. And, I still think we're going to see the chaos. I think you're going to see a lot of people that are not on board, or not knowing what to do, not knowing how to handle this chaos that's coming at us. But if you check out Control Trends and Automated Buildings and Jim Young and Realcomm Mobicon, and if you're paying attention, I think it's going to create tremendous opportunities for those that are paying attention, and those are willing to be flexible and change. So I've gone from thinking this is going to be, the end of the world type thing to, hey, this might be the biggest growth spurt we've ever had.
Right, and I tell you, it's not magic. So one of the other things I saw was that the great team that Siemens put together. Again, infusing a lot of young, energetic, talented people in at this point. I got a chance to speak with John Peck, the global product manager for Siemens Control Products, Mickey Mantis, marketing lead in Siemens Systems Room Automation, with her colleague Nichelle Grant, head of vertical markets. They put on a breakout that was amazing because it made everybody in the world in the room aware of where social media is and how it's taken such extremely deep roots, and how if you don't spend time, and how you can engage. So the way to send out flyers and even emails, those times are come and gone. Now it's all about getting involved in the LinkedIn, the right categories of social media that will promote your company's best interests. We did a breakout on your website, and I had to get a little red faced too, because everybody thinks they've got things going, but if you don't constantly upgrade your website and whatever, there's a consequence. Yeah. It's saying something without saying something. So to get all these kind of reminders and refreshers, the product manager's role there, and Ruben George, Jacob Cunningham, William Vargo, Tiffany Bass. These guys are all young, motivated product specialists that are really anxious to get. So what happened for us was we got like kind of a jolt, that there's a lot of new stuff out. It's not a walking the plank and see how far you can go before you fall. It's done. It's ready to go. And Siemens is coming out with a really interesting thrust. So,
well, and it sounds like Siemens is taking their own medicine too, because they got these young, energetic people, and all the stuff you're telling me, I'm going, really, Siemens? Because for so many years they were very sort of rigid, and sure, how their approach and how they did things, and it seems like they're really on the move. Kenny, outside of contacting me or you, who are both Siemens distributors, is there a good, maybe in the show notes, could you put a link in case somebody's interested, going, yeah, I definitely want to get involved with Siemens, or is there a good website to go to that you're aware of? Or
sure, I'll put it in there. I'll put it some reference points.
Yeah, perfect.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. Well, listen, dude, congratulations to Siemens, and Josh. We expect you to come on the show wearing the tuxedo. Mickey Mantis, we hear great things about you, so we're looking forward to meeting you as well. So congratulations, Team Siemens. Man, sounds like they are really revving up and ready to go. And I think, Kenny, we probably need to segue to some other parts of the show. And I'm thinking now, let's do a little segment we like to call Ken's Calendar. Hit it.